Good morning, students. Today, after the simple past tense and past progressive tense, today we are going to study past perfect tense. This simple past tense, past progressive tense, past perfect tense, simple, progressive, and perfect, these are correlated with each other. When we want to talk about the past progressive, you have to take the support of simple past. For example, I was watching the movie when you ran, when you called. The same time, the past perfect tense and also simple past also correlated with each other or interconnected with each other. Without the usage of this one, we can't speak the other. So the same way we simply say or use the past perfect tense. For example, after I had read the newspaper, I cleaned the room. न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ने के बाद मैंने रूम क्लीन किया था. Hence, after I had completed the homework, I went to sleep. Hence, this way we can simply form a sentence. For example, the structure of this past perfect tense is had plus walk. V3 we have as a future plus had form, the form of past tense. Had walked, talked, or we can say played, eaten. Like this, we can take any verb form which discusses the past actions, means the third form for V3. So, past perfect tense plus had plus walked. For example, we have one example in the book. After I had read the newspaper, I cleaned the room. I cleaned the room. Look at this sentence, means how the simple past tense is attached with the past perfect. After I had read, the third form of read, read, spelling is the same. After I had read, or we can say after I had completed the work. After I had completed the work, after I had read the newspaper, we simply say I cleaned the room, means simple past tense. This way, the action which was completed in the past, that we simply say, means the action which has completed in the past we use by using the had plus walk. For example, when I arrived. This I arrived is simple past tense. How it is correlated, connected, attached with the past perfect? Just you look. When I arrived at the office, the meeting had begun, or we can say meeting had started. So this is little bit about this. When I arrived at the office, the meeting had begun or started. Means मीटिंग हैड ऑलरेडी स्टार्टेड व्हेन ही रीच्ड द ऑफिस. वो ऑफिस पहुंचा था उसके पहले मीटिंग शुरू हो गई थी. मीन्स द मीटिंग हैड ऑलरेडी स्टार्टेड. मीटिंग हैड ऑलरेडी बिगन बिफोर यू अराइव्ड, बिफोर यू रीच्ड द ऑफिस. मीन्स सिंपल पास्ट टेंस and past perfect tense, this way both are attached, correlated with each other. Again I will give you some examples of this type, then you will come to know the clear cut idea of the sentences of this type. Again we have the irregular verb also we can take for this study. For example, I had cut the apple. Had cut means cut, or we can simply say the put. Put and cut, these occur same in three forms: putting, cut, cutting. in क्रियापदाच्या दुसऱ्या रूपात, तिसऱ्या रूपात आणि पहिल्या रूपामध्ये याचं स्पेलिंग सेम आहे. कशाचं? कट आणि पुटचं. मीन्स आय हॅड पुट द बनाना, और आय हॅड पुट द ऍपल, और आय हॅड कट द ऍपल. हॅड कट पास्ट परफेक्ट. बिफोर यू रीच्ड, और बिफोर यू सेड, तुम्ही म्हणण्याच्या पूर्वीच मी ऍपल कापलेलं होतं. मीन्स आय हॅड कट द ऍपल, और आय हॅड पुट द ऍपल बिफोर यू सेड. दिस इज द information about the past, we can say past perfect. Again we can form some sentences like this. I had spoken to my friend. I had spoken to my friend before I wrote to you. Before I wrote to you. I wrote, wrote, written, simple past tense. And I had spoken. I had spoken to my friend before I wrote to you. Means this is the information one has completed before communicating with you. So this action was completed before write to you. Means I had spoken to my friend before I write to you. तुला लिहिण्याच्या पूर्वीच मी माझ्या मित्राला बोललेलो होतो. Means the action which was completed in the past perfect. Again we have another example of this type. He went to bed. Went, go, went, gone. क्रियापदाचं दुसरं रूप म्हणजे simple past tense. He went to bed after he had locked the front door. Locked the room or front door. This is one. He went to bed after he had locked the room. He had locked the room first, then went to bed. Means this is the action of past perfect happens before the simple past tense. So he had locked the room first, then he went to bed. This is another one. Again we have some example of this type. That is one. The children had slept by the time the show began. The children had slept by the time the show began. Began. The show began, it is simple past tense. The children had slept by the time the show began. Means the children had already slept and then the show began. Means simple past tense happens later and past perfect took its action movement before. Means बच्चे सो गए थे जब सिनेमा स्टार्ट हो गया. Means simple past tense happens later and past perfect happens before. So this way, my dear friends, we can form the sentences in past perfect tense, which is simple, easy, and also we can form the sentences of past perfect correlating or mixing with simple past tense. And the last one which we are going to discuss today, that we can't use in regular practice, that is the past perfect progressive. Past perfect, past progressive tense, we couldn't use. Most of the time we use this while using the pronouns or prepositions like since, for, among, since, and far. And so the same time past perfect progressive tense is, we can simply say had plus been plus walking. We have seen present perfect progressive. Mostly we use while using the preposition since and for. One highlights the beginning of the time and second highlights the conclusion of the time. The same way we use present perfect progressive tense by using two house form like has and have plus been plus walking. Walking is the fourth form of the verb. And this way, both the forms are quite easy. So, instead of have as, we use had in the past perfect progressive tense. And some examples of this type we will discuss, and it means that the verb means is had been walking. This is the verb form, or we can call it the verb phrase. It is said that the verb in the past perfect progressive tense is used to show that an action which began in the past continued up to a certain time in the past. Means the action which had began in the past and again it is in continue. In such cases we use past perfect progressive tense. Means it shows that an action which began in the past continued up to a certain time also in the past. Means action began in the past and again continued up to certain time in the past. So it talks about past perfect progressive tense. Verb form of that tense simply talks about action which had started in the past and still continue to a certain point of time in the past. In such cases we use the past perfect progressive tense verb form. When we discuss the examples of this type, we will come to know the idea of its issues, of its uses, and also the interactions we can do with someone easily while or by using this verb form. For example, Arjun had been reading when Tanvi rang the bell. Arjun had been reading when Tanvi rang the bell means again the past perfect progressive is correlated with the simple past, because without the use of simple past tense it is very difficult to communicate or tell the dialogues in past progressive, past perfect, and even in past perfect progressive tense, because the supporting simple past tense verb form is always attached with the past perfect progressive verb form. So we say Arjun had been reading when Tanvi rang the bell means he had already started the reading, and again he continued yet when Tanvi rang the bell means he had already started, for example, at 10 o'clock reading the book, and Tanvi rang the bell to him, the bell of the door, at 12 o'clock. At that time also he was reading the book. So he had been reading the book up to the time Tanvi rang the bell. So the action which had started in the past, again it is continued up to a time, means up to a certain point of time. So Arjuna had been reading when Tanvi rang the bell. Again we simply use these sentences like this. I switched off, simple past tense. I switched off the overheated engine. I switched off the overheated engine. गर्म हुए वाला इंजन उसने बंद कर दिया था, वो बहुत देर से चालू था, जब तक उसने बंद किया तब बंद नहीं किया था तब तक वो चालू था, मीन्स which had started in the past or of the time. I switched off the overheated engine which had been running for 6 hours. Which had been running for 6 hours means which had been running means sometime before it had started, means 6 hours before it had started. After 6 hours he has switched off the overheated engine which had been running for 6 hours, means around 10 o'clock of the morning to the 2 p.m. of the afternoon it was in process, it was starting. Then at 2 o'clock he had stopped it, switched off it, because it is overheated. So this way the simple past tense and past progressive are correlated with each other. Again we will discuss some more examples of this type, so we will come the clear-cut idea of such types and of such sentences or patterns. Country's economy had been improving the country's economy had been improving steadily, means steadily, fastly, steadily until last year drop. Until last year drop. Or we can say until the last year COVID-19 epidemic. So country's economy had been improving fast, had been improving until last year drop, means simple past tense drop. Again, we can simply say the coach could see that swimmer the coach could, simple past tense, the coach could see that swimmer had been practicing, had been practicing. These are some examples which easily highlight the simple past tense, how it is correlated, attached with the past perfect progressive tense, and both the tense, simple past tense as well as the past perfect progressive, both are useful in the, we can say, in the usage, in the dialogue making, and also to write down the ideas in the respective tense of simple past, past perfect progressive, and also the past progressive. Each and every tense plays an important role in the writing, communication, and also dialogue heading. So with this I have stopped with simple past tense. In the next lecture we will discuss some examples of this type of simple past, past perfect, past progressive, and past perfect progressive. We can conclude the past tense by practicing all the four kinds of past tense in detail along with some examples for practice. With this, I stop here. Thank you.